Welcome to the Nifty Noon podcast.
Hey there.
Our goal here is, well, pretty simple. We take a whole load of source material, reports, research, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's our Nifty Noon daily updates from the first week of June 2025. And we just dive deep, pull out the most important bits, the real insights.
Basically, your shortcut to getting up to speed fast.
Exactly. Think of it as, getting you well informed on the crucial moves happening right now without needing to read everything yourself.
And for this deep dive, we're focusing on that specific week because honestly, it was packed. So many significant things happened across crypto and NFTs.
Right. We saw big capital shifts, major company strategies changing.
Evolving NFT stuff, and definitely more crossover with politics and, traditional finance. It's all accelerating.
So our mission today, unpack all of that for you, help you figure out what really matters in this space because it moves so fast. Cut through the noise.
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, so let's jump straight into our source material from that week.
All right, let's maybe go chronologically, day by day, hit the big stories we covered in our newsletter that first week of June. Sound good?
Perfect. So starting with June 2nd, what was the big headline?
Well, one of the main things that caught our eye, definitely, was Yuga Labs.
Yeah, never a dull moment there. We saw in our update they made a pretty big move deciding to sell the Moonbirds IP.
Exactly that. Sold the intellectual property for Moonbirds to a company called Orange Cap Games.
Okay.
And what was really interesting, looking back at our reports, is this wasn't like a one-off for Yuga in 2025. This was actually their third big IP sale just this year.
Third. Wow. They sold CryptoPunks and Meebits earlier, right?
That's it. So when you see that pattern, 3 major IPs sold off in, 5 or 6 months?
Yeah, it definitely signals something. What's the takeaway?
It points pretty clearly, I think, to a strategic pivot. They seem to be pulling back from that diversification phase where they scooped up all those NFT collections.
Right, consolidating.
Yeah, it looks like a deliberate refocus on their core stuff.
Yeah.
Bored Ape, Yacht Club, the whole ecosystem, other side metaverse. Getting back to basics, maybe.
Makes sense. And this buyer, Orange Cap Games, what's their deal?
They're newer, more focused. Our report mentioned they're all about blockchain gaming and integrating physical and digital experiences, like that kind of crossover stuff.
Okay.
And the founder, Spencer, apparently a well-known NFT investor. So they have some street cred in this space they're entering.
And they've got big plans for Moonbirds, expanding the universe, real-world products. But here's the kicker, right? Even though they sold the IP,
Yeah,
Moonbirds aren't just vanishing from Yuga's world. There's still another side.
that's right. Still featured another side.
Yeah.
And there's this agreement Orange Cap has to launch future Moonbird stuff only on the ApeCoin L2.
Ah, the layer 2.
Yeah, or other established L1 chains. So Yuga keeps some control, some connection.
Clever. Keeps it in the family, sort of.
Pretty smart, yeah. Maintain that synergy. We also noted in the newsletter that day, Moonbirds itself, it had a lot of hype initially,
Oh, yeah, I remember.
but it kind of struggled under the original team. And even after Yuga bought it in early 24, it didn't quite, take off like maybe they hoped.
So the market reaction to this sale, that's the real test, isn't it?
Always. And looking at the quick stats from June 2nd, well, reaction was pretty loud. The Moonbirds floor price,
Minimum buy price, yeah.
right, rallied, went up over 0.7 ETH, and daily trading volumes just exploded, like nearly 600% increase.
Wow, 600%, that's not subtle. What does it tell you?
It tells you the market saw this as a good thing. Like investors, holders, maybe they figured Moonbirds has a better shot with a dedicated owner now.
But still connected to Yuga.
Exactly. Best
Yeah.
of both worlds, maybe. It just shows how these big strategic moves, even selling something off, can really juice the value and activity for a collection.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, strategic shifts driving rallies. Anything else major on June 2nd?
Yeah, a few other things from our report. FTX started its next payout phase, planning to give back over $5 billion to creditors.
Wow.
And REX shares filed for Solana and Ethereum staking ETFs in the U.S. More TradFi dipping its toes in?
Always more ETFs.
Seems like it. And, Trump Media finalized a massive $2.32 billion deal that actually included buying and holding Bitcoin as a treasury asset.
Interesting. Okay, let's shift gears. June 3rd, more big platform moves, right? Robinhood.
Yes, huge news from Robinhood. They finalized that $200 million all-cash deal to buy Bitstamp,
Right, Bitstamp. And this isn't just pocket change for them. Why is this acquisition so significant?
Well, it's about scale and scope, really. This
Mm.
deal massively expands Robinhood's crypto game beyond the U.S. Suddenly, they're major players in Europe, the U.K., Asia.
Okay, global reach.
Huge global reach.
Yeah.
And crucially, this gives them their first proper institutional crypto business. They weren't really playing in that sandbox before.
So they get institutions, not just us retail folks. That's a big step up. What
Yeah.
does Bitstamp bring to the table specifically?
Bitstamp's established.
Hmm.
Our sources said they have over 50 licenses and registrations around the world. That's regulatory hassle Robinhood doesn't have to deal with now.
A regulatory shortcut, almost.
Pretty much. And they already have like 5,000 institutional clients.
Yeah,
So Robinhood basically plugs into this existing global network.
smart. And Robinhood's CEO, Tenev, he mentioned something specific they're targeting.
Yeah, he was quoted talking about real-world asset tokenization, called it a huge unlock for value.
RWA, everyone's talking about it.
Exactly. So this acquisition, it shows these big platforms aren't just adding more coins, they're strategically positioning for what they see as the next big thing in crypto, like tokenizing real estate or bonds or whatever.
Makes sense. Anything else jump out from June 3rd's report?
Let's see. More politics. South Korean presidential candidates apparently promising to legalize spot crypto ETFs, even launch a stablecoin backed by the won.
Interesting. Global political acceptance growing.
Seems like in some places. And back home, there was more criticism aimed at the SEC's approach to crypto. The usual debate.
Okay, got it. Now, June 4th. The vibe shifts a bit. We're talking meme coins. Pump.fun.
Oh yeah, big buzz that day. Blockworks had a report circulating that Pump.fun might be trying to raise, wait for it,
Huh.
$1 billion in a token sale.
$1 billion. For Pump.fun, seriously, what kind of valuation were they talking?
Potentially $4 billion.
Wow, okay. Pump.fun, that's the platform for easily launching meme coins, right?
Yeah.
What's their scale?
Our update gave some context. Since early 2024, they helped launch nearly 11 million tokens.
11 million.
Yeah, and generated over $700 million in total revenue. They've also been adding features, their own AMM, like a built-in exchange, and a mobile app, too.
So they're big, but $1 billion raise. What was the main worry we highlighted in our newsletter?
The big fear, especially among traders, was that this massive raise would just suck all the air out of the room, that it would drain the meme coin market of future liquidity.
Like all the money would go into the Pump.fun token instead of new meme coins.
Exactly. People were drawing parallels to the Yuga Other Side Mint, how that kind of froze the NFT market for a bit because so much capital got locked up.
Right, I remember that. A liquidity vacuum concern. But wasn't there a counterargument? Like, what if they airdropped a lot of it?
Yeah, that's the flip side. If a big chunk of that billion went out as an airdrop to users, maybe even people not usually into meme coins, it could actually inject new capital into the market. Depends entirely on how they'd structure it.
True. And did the market react just to the rumor?
Oh, yeah, instantly.
Yeah.
We saw SOL dip briefly since Pump.fun runs mostly on Solana, and a lot of the major meme coins took a pretty big hit. Shows how jittery that market is about something potentially this huge.
Yeah, very sensitive and
Yeah.
still uncertain until they actually announce something official, I guess. What else popped up on June 4th?
Trump's Truth Social filed for a Bitcoin ETF. Another one.
Keeping track is getting hard.
Tell me about it. And there was news about an airdrop coming from a company called World Liberty Financial, which sets us up nicely for the next day.
Ah, yes, June 5th. The political crypto intersection really heated up. The Trump wallet wars, as we saw it described.
Yeah, this was confusing, frankly. Our updates tracked it. It started with this tease for a new, supposedly official Trump crypto wallet.
Okay.
It was presented as a team-up between the guys behind the Trump meme coin and Magic Eden, the NFT marketplace. They were promising features, rewards, even $1 million worth of Trump tokens. Magic Eden even seemed to confirm they were involved.
Sounds official enough with Magic Eden's name attached, so where did it go wrong?
Well, then Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump came out publicly and said, basically, nope, not us, stated very clearly this wallet was not authorized by the Trump organization.
Oh, wow. Direct contradiction. Did they offer an alternative?
They did. They pointed people towards a different official wallet that was supposedly coming soon from World Liberty Financial. Remember them from the day before?
Right, the airdrop company.
Yeah, apparently a crypto company the Trump sons helped launch. And then, linking the dates here from our briefing docs, World Liberty Financial apparently sent a cease and desist letter to the folks behind the first wallet, the meme coin Magic Eden one.
Yikes. So, dueling Trump wallets, cease and desists. Messy. How did our sources try to frame this impartially?
We highlighted how it basically underscores the rapidly expanding and sometimes conflicting push of Trump-affiliated ventures into the crypto space. You got multiple groups trying to leverage the brand, maybe stepping on each other's toes.
Right. But beyond the drama, what's the bigger picture here?
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? Even with all this confusion and infighting, the fact that figures this high profile are engaging with crypto wallets and meme coins, you could argue it's still another step, however messy, towards wider digital asset awareness and maybe even utility. It brings crypto into the mainstream conversation, good or bad.
Definitely puts it front and center. What else was going on June 5th?
JP Morgan, big bank, planning to offer financing against crypto ETFs. Another TradFi bridge.
Interesting. Collateralizing ETFs.
Yeah. And MoonPay got its BIT license and money transmitter licenses from New York's DFS. Big regulatory win for them to operate in NY.
Huge hurdle cleared there.
And then the setup for the next day. That report started getting serious traction. Circle's IPO being massively oversubscribed, like 25 times oversubscribed.
Which brings us perfectly to June 6th, the big one for capital markets that week, the Circle IPO.
Absolutely. Probably the biggest pure financial news in crypto that week. Circle, the USDC issuer, went public on the NYSE.
Well,
And it wasn't just a launch, it was, well, explosive.
the numbers are pretty wild, weren't they, from our reports that day? How did CRCL, the stock, actually do?
It closed at $83 a share. The IPO price was $31.
Whoa, that's a 167% jump on day one.
Yep. And it even hit 104 turns during the day. And yeah, that oversubscription report seemed spot on 25 times oversubscribed. Serious demand.
What does that level of success, that investor frenzy, really tell us about the market's mood right now?
It strongly suggests, as we put it, a growing investor appetite for the key infrastructure of crypto. It's not just about buying Bitcoin anymore for these public market folks. They see value in the companies building the essential thimbles. Plumbing, the stablecoins, the exchanges, the payment rails.
It makes you think of the Coinbase IPO, though, right? That had a huge first day pop, too.
It does. And our newsletter made that exact point, calling Coinbase's later performance maybe a cautionary tale about getting too hyped on day one.
Right, sustainability is key.
Exactly. But Circle's argument, its fundamental strength, is USDC. As our sources noted, it's a key pillar for everything trading, lending, that whole TradFi-DeFi convergence. Its utility is kind of baked in, maybe differently than just an exchange's volume.
Good point. Did the IPO success ripple out into the actual crypto market?
A little bit. Our report mentioned a modest bump in stablecoin activity right after. Volumes for both USDC and USDT ticked up. So positive news for the big players can energize the ecosystem slightly.
Definitely one to watch in the coming weeks, see if CRCL holds those gains. Could be a sign of crypto stocks maturing. Anything else? Wrap up the week on June 6th.
Yeah, a couple more things. Uber was reported to be studying stablecoins for payments. Another huge mainstream name looking at practical uses.
Interesting. Uber Pay with USDC.
Maybe someday. And, well, on the lighter side, Coinbase listed a meme coin called FartCoin.
Chuckles, seriously. FartCoin.
Seriously. Just a little reminder that amidst all the serious IPOs and political drama, the, let's say, weirder side of crypto is still very much alive and well.
Never change, crypto. Never change. Okay, so looking back at that whole week, wow, we went from Yuga's strategic sell-offs moving NFT market,
But Robinhood going global and institutional.
the whole Pump.fun billion-dollar question mark hanging over meme coins,
The very public, kind of messy Trump wallet situation.
and capped off with a huge public market validation for Circle's infrastructure role.
And all week, BTC, ETH, SOL prices bouncing around, NFT sales happening, collections reacting. It never stops.
It really doesn't. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you listening out there to chew on after this deep dive. We see all this happening, right? Big money via IPOs, TradFi giants like JP Morgan getting deeper in, Robinhood expanding, Web3 natives like Yuga restructuring, political figures jumping in, this rapid, almost chaotic convergence of crypto with traditional finance, politics, public life. What does it actually mean for where digital assets are going? Is this the fast track to mass adoption we always hear about? Or is it just making things way more complicated, adding layers of conflict, maybe even slowing things down in some ways?
It's definitely a complex picture forming. Lots of competing forces.
It really is. And just trying to keep up with it all, staying informed, is so important to even begin to understand where it might lead.
Yeah.
We really hope this deep dive gave you some solid takeaways from that busy first week of June.
Yeah, hope it was helpful. And if you want these kinds of insights hitting your inbox daily, definitely check out our newsletter, Nifty Noon.
You can subscribe, read past updates, really dig into the source material we talk about here over at niftynoon.com. That's NIFTYNOON.com.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.